What's going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. This is Sportscorner, and I am here today with Ray Cruz.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm also here today with Greg Hot Seat Galliano.
How's it going, Nate?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Today's a great day. We're going live as the Denver Nuggets are playing the Phoenix Suns right now. Nuggets are currently up 58-57. Today's really just a post game and a live reaction to three different leagues actually. Going to talk a little bit of NHL. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA. And we're also going to, if we have time, we'll talk a little bit of the live reaction and post game to the three Major League Baseball games that are going on right now. We do have a comment, and he says, "My guy Ray for Eric Combs says that."
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and hit the NHL first. Game one of the header tonight was the Islanders. They took on the Boston Bruins, and they won 5-4. We'll give this to Ray. This was a very high-scoring affair. Islanders scored three goals in the second in the second period. Second period, and I almost thought that the Boston Bruins were going to take this into overtime. To be honest, of how they were looking when they scored that last goal. What are your thoughts on this game as the Islanders took that game three? Their third win in game five.
The Islanders was impressive in that second quarter, scoring 3 goals there, and then Boston came back and scored 2 in the third, and then was getting close to tying this game up. And so, it's a high scoring game for hockey. To me, most people hockey scores like 1-0 or 3-2, but this one got up into 5-4. 9 goals total. I'm just hoping somebody didn't bet the under on the 9 on this one. They lost a lot of money, but if you look at it, you look at the scoring and stuff like that, and then them scoring them 3 goals to put them ahead, and going in starting that third period, you thought Boston Bruins looked down and not really. Then all of a sudden they started scoring these 2 goals. Then you figure, hey, are they going to score 3 goals in one period and tie this game up and take it in overtime? But the Islanders had a little bit of had it in control, and then looked like they were going to take it out of control. So to me, I think the Islanders probably going to, they might wrap this series up next game, maybe. If Boston can't get nothing going. So
yeah, I don't think they're going to get anything going. Greg, we'll take this over to you. What are your thoughts on this Islanders game? Do you see it going into Game 7? What are your thoughts on this?
I definitely think that it could go to Game 7. We're talking about my Islanders here. They really got everybody involved today. Bouvier had 2 excellent assists in this game. You got well-rounded scoring, 5 goals from 5 different players. Eberle, Bailey, of course, Barzal was in there. Adding some big hits as well during this game. Then you had Nelson and Palmieri, who was a tremendous pickup at the deadline because, like I said earlier, we needed some more scoring once Anders Lee had to leave for the season with the ACL tear, and he was on fire. So picking up Palmieri, he's been excellent throughout these playoffs. But I wouldn't take anything against the Bruins. They actually, percentage-wise, was a little bit better with their shots on goal. They were 51% as opposed to my Islanders' 49%. But it was a hard-hitting game. There was 38 hits for the Islanders, 37 hits for the Bruins. So it was a very fast game. It's exciting to see a game like this because we've seen with the Canadians and the Jets, there hasn't been a lot of prolific scoring.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
It's been mostly all goaltending by Price that's been pretty much the factor in that series. So, I definitely think this is one of the more competitive series out there. So I definitely could see Boston coming back. I mean, they have all the firepower. They have Hall in there. They have a pretty good defensive line. So I would like to see my Islanders just shut this thing down and move on. But I definitely can see the Bruins, at least maybe making a case for a Game 7. So, but yeah, it was a well fought, well skated game. It was good to see the stadium packed. The Bruins fans were pretty lively tonight, but my Islanders came out and got a few big goals. They had that big half, and they made it happen, and it was pretty exciting to see 5 different guys on the ice scoring for the Islanders today. So
now I'll ask this question. I'll ask this question to Greg real quick, as we do have a couple more comments. Greg looks like he has about to drop them stats from Eric Holmes. And I apologize if I butcher your name, but Hannigan Van Meter, ASAP Network Beans, I disagree wholeheartedly. What is up? As he drops down three comments. Now, I have a question towards Greg. Now, you took that Game 3 advantage. Let's say Islanders win Game 6. Do you think that you're more likely to see the Islanders go out and play face the Tampa Bay Lightning in the next round, or do you think it's going to be Carolina?
That's a tough one because it looked like the Lightning were ready to pounce and were ready to put this thing away, and then Carolina's been making a comeback. So, I'm going to throw one out to Ray. I think that if Carolina can keep it up, put a little bit more pressure on the Lightning, I think that the Hurricanes may make it out alive against the Lightning. But the Lightning are a very fast team. They can put a lot of points on the board and score goals in a hurry. So it's just going to depend on how well the Hurricanes play defense down the stretch. So, but I'm gonna throw a bone out to Ray. I think that the Hurricanes kind of have the edge. They got down 2-0, but they've been showing signs of life and are starting to look like a really solid hockey team again. So I wouldn't put it past them to be able to move past the Lightning.
Now, I will say this, and before I give this to Ray, I will say this. I know that the Carolina Hurricanes are down 3-1, but so was the Canadians. They were down 3-1 against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they won that series. So I'll ask that question to Ray. Who do you think the Islanders are more likely to face next series if they pull a Game 6 or a Game 7 win? Who do you expect to win this series against Tampa?
Well, I like my Hurricanes, but I like the chances. But that three games to 1, and they haven't really played up to their standard like they did against the Nashville Predators when they, got in that tight matchup with them and going all the way out and closing it out. So I mean, they've been down before, so coming back with some of the experience with Stahl and all them. So to me, I think Carolina might win the next game, but then probably falter at the end. So I think it's going to be. I think Tampa Bay has got Carolina's number in the playoffs. So I think Tampa is going to be Tampa and the Islanders.
So you're saying this is going to go into 6 games?
Yep.
All right. So let's move on. As I brought up the Canadians earlier, and so did Greg. The Canadians they closed off that series against the Winnipeg Jets, which was a shocker. To be honest with you, the Canadians end up winning a 4-0 sweep. They did win this game in overtime, scoring. Montreal did score a goal in overtime to seal the victory. Now, but we're talking about a Montreal Canadiens team that swept the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. So I'm going to just throw a joke out of there. Do you think that the winner of Colorado and Vegas is going to sweep Montreal?
That's a good question.
Because I don't think that they're going to sweep Montreal.
I don't either.
Simply because their goalkeeping, their goaltender Price is absolutely excellent in the crease. So he's the key to Montreal's success. I don't think that the Canadiens are going to go much further, depending on whoever they draw between the Knights or the Avalanche. But I definitely don't see a sweep because Price can keep them in any game. He's playing lights out in the box right now.
Yeah, I mean, even Colorado does, especially if Colorado goes on, because Colorado does not have excellent. That's where they're lacking is goalkeeping. So I agree with you on that.
I do think that if Montreal is going to have a chance to do anything, other than maybe get a game out of the next series, they're going to have to get a little bit more physical. They only put 25 hits out there today. Winnipeg came out and just throttled them. They threw out 49 hits, but they still came up short. But it was more of a finesse game from Montreal. Winnipeg came out and kind of manhandled and everything, but when it was all said and done, it was 3-2 with Montreal moving on. It's nice to see Montreal moving on because they took out my early season prediction that the Maple Leafs I thought were going to make a run. So Montreal's definitely turning some heads. They're definitely probably winning a few bucks for some people willing to put some money on them on the betting line. So right now, Montreal's a fun story. I think their fun is going to end in the next round. But man, with Price in the crease, I mean, he's playing about as good as anybody right now, in the goal. So we'll see. He didn't have the greatest of games today. I think he had 11 out of 13 save opportunities or something like that. But overall though, he's kept them in every game that they had. Starting with the Maple Leafs and moving on to the Jets. So very exciting player to watch. And I haven't said that about goalies too often in hockey, but yeah, I think that Carey Price is definitely one of the key players to watch right now throughout these playoffs.
Now I will say this. So, one other thing that goalkeeping is, like I said earlier, is probably going to be the biggest factor as what to expect now. Even if Vegas moves on or if Colorado moves on. Now, anything else that you have to add on your side, Ray? Because there's not much I had to say on this.
I mean, what he said about Price. Price had 17 shots on goal, saved 15, and only allowed 2 at .882. And then, Holly Bycheck, their goalie had 41 shot. They shot 41 times. He saved 38 and scored 3. So he had a .927. So to me, the Montreal are attacking inside their goal. A little bit of success, not much, but just enough to get them away right now. So, I mean, if Montreal can do that against Colorado, then, it could be some, the goaltending for Colorado, it could be lacking, and they could probably score a little bit more points on that if they can get in that shot ratio they got today, So anything could go in that series. So,
Cool. So let's move on and talk a little bit of NBA. This Milwaukee Bucks team now has lost 2 back-to-back games that are complete blowouts by the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets now have a 2-0 advantage with the win today, pretty much by 40-ish points. 39 actually.
39
want to go technical. But now looking at not one person on this Milwaukee Bucks team has scored more than 20 points, which honestly, that's not good. That Giannis was their leading scorer with 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 18 points. Like even Giannis needs to score more if they want to win. Now looking at the Nets side, the Nets have Kevin Durant who scored 32 points. Joe Harris who scored 13. Kyrie Irving who scored 22. So they had a couple of people who scored 20 plus points. So if the Bucks want to win this, which so far it's looking like they don't, then I think the Bucks really need to have somebody to score more than 20 points.
Well, I'll take this right here. With Giannis got to score more than 18 points. He's got to get back up to the scoring over 30 points for them to have a shot. Because you got Durant. Because the way I broke that series down on my radio show over the weekend was that Giannis and Durant was going to kind of cancel each other out, but it hasn't proved that point right now. Durant has been on fire. James Harden got hurt in the first minute of the first game, and he didn't come back and play. He didn't play this game. So, the two-headed monsters right now are killing them. But the first game Nets had Blake Griffin, who scored 15 points. Today, he only scored like 7. So, still they put up 125 with Durant going with 32 and Irving had 22, and then one more, then they had Harris and Brown with 13 apiece, and James coming off the bench with 10, and then Perry with 8. But you're looking at what Durant's playing 33 minutes, Irving played 34. All the starters are playing 26, 30, and 26. And then if you look at the Bucks, started they're playing. PJ Tucker's playing 22, Giannis playing 31, Middleton's playing 34, Lopez is playing 26, and Holiday's playing 34. And what I thought could happen was that Holiday will play Harden if Harden didn't get hurt, But then PJ Tucker was going to play. Holiday was going to play Irvin, and then I had PJ Tucker playing Harden. That two best defensive players. And they're not even playing up to their abilities right now. Milwaukee is just playing, unexpired basketball, not playing what they did. I think they got that sweep in the first round. I think it kind of set them last couple days ago when they playing this Brooklyn team. And then when Harden got hurt, they thought it was going to be a little bit easier cakewalk because they only had a two-headed monster. So I don't know. Milwaukee got to go back home and concentrate and try to do it. And then Giannis has got to stop bringing the ball up. He's got to be the one receiving the ball at the other end, not initiating the offense.
Yeah. So, Greg, do you have anything else to add on that?
Well, I want to throw out an interesting point, okay? When we think of the Brooklyn Nets, we don't necessarily think of defense, okay? We definitely see a team that's got high scoring potential, but we don't necessarily think of a team that's going to be a lockdown defending team. So the fact that Milwaukee only put up 86 points today against a team that is really not that strong defensively says a lot. They did slow Giannis down. He only scored 18. Middleton was the only other factor really for Milwaukee, coming in with 17 points tonight, and they didn't get much after that unless you want to factor in Drew Holiday with 13. So they didn't really have hardly any scoring. Hardly any scoring from anybody else coming off from the bench. I'll tell you what, no team is going to go that far in the NBA playoffs with 27 turnovers. That's what Milwaukee had tonight. 27 turnovers against a team that doesn't really force a whole lot of turnovers. But the Brooklyn Nets, look at their stat line. They had 8 steals today. 8 steals. You're talking about NBA level basketball. 8 steals against a team that's in the playoffs. Milwaukee has to do a better job of protecting the basketball. That was absolutely insane to have the ball stolen from you 8 times against the Nets, who is a very offensive dominated team. The Brooklyn Nets, they still put up 17 turnovers, so they're going to have to get a little bit better. But, they got excellent play off their bench, too. Almost everybody on their roster that was suited up tonight scored a basket for the Nets. So the Nets they're playing great team ball. They didn't even have Harden in the lineup. That's 125 points without Harden in the lineup. So, if Harden would have played tonight, it might have been like, 155 to 86 or something, or even lower than that. So, I'm going to make a little joke here. The Bucks stops here, the Bucks.
Oh, let's see what you did there.
The Bucks are done. They've always, for the last several years, they've been one of those teams. And I think you guys can attest to this, that they've been one of those teams that always puts together a pretty decent regular season record. But when it comes playoff time, they just don't have much to show for themselves. They always come out flat. Their defensive is lacking. Like Ray said, they kind of play uninspired. I don't know if they are inspired or not. But, yeah, they just come out flat, not ready to play. And it's showing in this series. And this series is not going to last very long.
Hot take. I think Bucks need to fire their coach after this series.
I got two couple stats that broke out when I was looking at it. 3-point line, Bucks were 8 for 27, but the Nets were 21 for 42, 50%, and Bucks were 29.6. But the interesting thing was the Bucks had more points in the paint, 52 to 38. But if they can continue to get in that 52 points, but they got to upgrade their 3-point line for about maybe 5 or 6 more, maybe, to neutralize the Nets. But another interesting thing too is Harden was the most guy who's getting like 11 to 10 assists a game. They still got 27 assists without Harden on the court to 14. But I mean, if you look at it, the turnovers and stuff like that, and then the fouls, the Bucks made less. Got more foul calls, but it still didn't help them enough in this game. And if you look at the breakdown of the scoring, Milwaukee only scored 19 points in the first quarter. Brooklyn put up a 36. Second quarter, Bucks, Brooklyn Nets put up 29. The Bucks put up 22. And then the last two quarters, 30 in the third for the Nets and 30 in the fourth, to 24-21. So, I mean, it was just a total annihilation, domination of a team. And when he says the Bucks stops here, the Bucks needs to just, it looked like somebody went out deer hunting for the buck.
Yeah. So let's move on and talk about pretty much my favorite game of the night. That's being a huge Nuggets fan and all. This is where the live reaction comes in. The Nuggets currently up 72-66 over the Phoenix Suns. Now I want to say one thing, and it's kind of picking at the Bucks here, but didn't Devin Booker in Game 6? He scored more in the first quarter because I think he scored 33 points in the first quarter. Am I correct on that?
Who?
Devin Booker, first quarter in the Lakers game 6.
Yeah, he's only got, for this game right now, he's only got 12 points.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that because Devin Booker against the Lakers in Game 6, he scored more points in that quarter than Giannis did this entire game.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So going back to this game, now I get it that it's only quarter number 3, but really the currently looking at the stats, Jokic has 20 points. Campazzo has 11. Michael Porter Jr. has 12. Aaron Gordon has 10. And then now for the Suns, you have Michael Bridges, who has the most number of points in this game by the Suns, and that's 18. And Devin Booker has 12, and DeAndre Ayton has 11. So really, this is really, the Nuggets so far have been able to do something that the Lakers have not been able to do in this past couple of games, and that's play defense. So, Ray, how are you feeling about this game one as the Nuggets are currently up by 6?
Well, this game really hasn't surprised me because I kind of figured the Nuggets would probably come in this game and probably take game one due to the fact that the Phoenix Suns are still hung over beating the Lakers and stuff like that. And you can tell right now with Devin Booker, he's only got 12 points in this game. He came out red hot in the last game of the thing, and he's now only got 12 points. I mean, he's been cooled off right now. So I think game one, this was a prime game for Denver to come in and take game one. Last series Denver won. Phoenix won game one, and then they lost game 2 and 3. So I mean, you got to think about it. What's going to go on? This series is not over. I think you're going to hear Devin Booker's name called a lot here in the next 2 to 3 games. But because my radio show I put out, Jokic and Devin Booker was going to even each other out, and who's going to step up in the other. And then Bridges stepped up right now with 18 points. But I mean, we're now the Phoenix Suns up by 1. All of a sudden they just turn around. Surprisingly came up 73-72 right now. So, this is anybody's game right now. It's not a blowout. This game is going to come down to the wire. It's just going to be like the Portland series with Denver. It's going to come all the way down to that wire game, and it's going to be close all the way. I don't think we're going to see a blowout. So, I mean, if you look at it right now, you pretty much got everybody scoring, helping all the role players are playing their roles from both teams. This is going to be a defensive battle out, and I wouldn't be surprised if this first game going overtime.
Yeah, I said that in the beginning. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes overtime as well. Greg?
Well, we're talking about Devin Booker playing lights out. When he put the Lakers away, he went on a big-time scoring frenzy. He was all over the place. Unfortunately, in this game, they still have a little bit of an edge right now. They just took the lead again. But, when it comes to Booker, the Suns have 8 turnovers, and Booker is responsible for 5 of them. So I think that he's trying to put a little bit too much on his shoulder, trying to, I think he's trying to carry the team a little bit too much. I think that, he's got a lot of fire. He's got that Mamba mentality. He's a young kid. He's a sharpshooter. He's an excellent all-around. He's a good defensive player, and he's also can light it up, especially from three-point land. So, right now I think he's starting to get a little bit smarter. He made some really bad turnovers earlier in the game. Like I said, he's forced 5 turnovers in this game. But there's some obvious mismatches in this series. There's not too many people in the league that can really stand toe to toe with Jokic. Jokic is, in my opinion, is the MVP this year. He can do it all. He's a triple threat guy every night. He's an excellent rebounder. He's an excellent assist man for a 7-footer, and he's got good range. So he can take it big outside. He can knock down some big shots. He's got a good post game. So I think that's going to be a hard matchup for Ayton or anybody they throw out there to kind of keep up with Jokic, because he can spread the floor. But the biggest story of this, I think, is going to be Aaron Gordon. We've talked about Aaron Gordon in the past and how well he fits with the Nuggets and what a great pickup he was. He was definitely one of the few bright spots for the Orlando Magic before they went on a fire sale and got rid of them. And he's a definite dual threat. He's an excellent defensive player. But he also gets up and down the floor, and he can finish in the lane. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how well he finishes this game and this series. But, this is a very, very highly competitive series. I mean, you're talking about Denver and the Suns, 2 teams that have been there, top 3 teams in the league. So I think this series here is probably going to go the distance. At least I think it's going to go at least 6 games. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7. But yeah, you got some excellent backcourt players for the Suns. Chris Paul, future Hall of Famer, paired with Booker. So they're going to get some definite good looks and everything. Ayton, he's a good low post threat, but I still don't think that he's going to keep up with Jokic. And I think that if Denver does tip the scales and comes out with the win in this series, I think that it's going to be mainly the mismatches that Jokic forces out there, because I think that he's probably going to average 25 points a night and about 13 rebounds this entire series. That's my hot take on Jokic.
Wow. So we'll go over to and talk a little bit about the last subject as we finished NBA. Finish talking about NBA. We'll finish talking about NHL. We'll go over to the MLB side of things. Now, I wanted to cover it because there's really not very many games today. Now, the Miami Marlins they lost. They lost today earlier, 5-3. Now, looking at scoring for the Marlins, Starling Marte, he had 3 hits during this game, and one of them was a run, while Corey Dickerson had a run, and Adam Duvall also had a run. And you look at the Red Sox, you have Christian Arriato, who had 2 runs this game, Xander Bogaerts, who had 1, Kevin Polechki, who had 1, and Enrique Hernandez, who also had a run this game. I don't know what it is with the Red Sox pitching, is my take, because they started 7 pitchers. I know we talk a lot about this on Thursday Full Count, but the Red Sox started 7 pitchers in this game. Yeah, they won 5-3, but I don't know what it is on that part. We'll go to Greg first.
Well, like we've been talking in the past, we don't like, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it in the past, Ray and Nate, that we don't really like to see these games where there's a new pitcher coming in after 3 innings or so, and then they go into, and then every inning starts with a new pitcher. I mean, it gets old, Major League Baseball has a big problem on its hands right now, because it seems like there's not a lot of starting pitchers out there that are going more than 6 innings a night anymore. I don't know if they just don't have the control or the stamina, or if the managers are trying to save their arms, but it just seems like when you're talking about, a game just a few months into the season, a 5-3 win over the Marlins, and you're using 7 pitchers to get through the entire game, that seems a little bit repetitive. Trying to go through that many pitchers, going through that much of your bullpen just to pull out a 5-3 win. But Boston, it was a big win for them, because they've been kind of, they had a big start to the season, and they were playing pretty lights out baseball for a while, and then they went on a big time dip. So I think that they're trying to do whatever they can to put a few wins on the board right now. But that's a very alarming sign when you got a team trying to go through 7 pitchers, and only giving up 3 runs. I think that they could have got through this game with 3 pitchers. But if that's what they want to do to try to get through these games, then that's what they got to do. But I know that a lot of the fans, like myself, don't like seeing all these pitching changes throughout the course of the game.
Ray?
Well, I'm going to tell you that when the analytics came involved in sports, we see weird stuff. And this is weird stuff, because this right here tells me you go through 7 pitchers to win a game. Your manager's doing the analytics thing, because he's probably figured out that people in the analytics say he can only go 4 2/3 inning. They pull him out. Maybe they're just doing situational pitching, too, in certain key elements of the analytics part. So when you talk about analytics coming into sports, this is what you're going to get right here with all the pitchers and stuff like that, because managers will probably want to save their arms for the postseason and stuff like that. like baseball is what, over 100 years old. We never had analytics all the way up to this point. I mean, why are Major League Baseball all in every sport? Why are they in this analytics stuff? Because you can't win games with analytics. I mean, they give you some ideas, but you gotta take it out there for thing. Like Greg said, the Red Sox party could have got away with 2 pitchers today. I mean, the dude pitched 4 2/3 innings, only gave up 7 hits, 2 runs. I mean, the next guy came in, he only pitched a fourth of an inning, no runs, no hits, no nothing. And then next guy comes in 2/3 of an inning. The rest of the 2/3 of the inning, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. And then next time the person came in, they only give up some, key stuff. So I don't know what's going on with baseball. I mean, baseball is just, they just took the analytics and just says, let's go with it. Let's use 7 pitchers here. As you're using 7 pitchers, you're still wasting 7 arms, getting workout and stuff like that. But if you pitch the way you pitched back in the early days, I mean, you'll save a lot more pitchers too, because you're not using your bullpen deep in the game. Now you're using your bullpen all the way up to what you get in the 4th and 2/3 inning. Then you got to go all the way up to about, 4.5 more innings, and we got to add more pitchers to it. So I mean, it's just all this is just analytics in this game here. And yes, when you see you can tell what teams are using analytics and what teams are not by using your pitching staff.
Now, I want to say one thing. Now, I'm watching a little bit of the highlights going on right now. And as far as I can say, the Marlins won off of silly mistake. Red Sox won off of silly mistakes. There were a lot of drops, a lot of you throwing the ball way too far. So there was a guy off of first base who threw the ball way too far, over the catcher's head, and that they were able to score a run in through that way. So I think Boston won this game off of silly mistakes, and so that's my other take on this. Now closing this back real quick. So the next game, it's actually going on right now. The Angels are up currently 7-2. It's now top of the 7th. You have George Solar and Michael Taylor who scored for the Royals, while the Angels had Ohtani who scored, Rendon who scored, Jared Walsh who scored, Max Stassi scored a couple of runs, and Juan Lagares. Now, honestly, one thing I have to say on this game is that Shohei Ohtani is probably the best. Ohtani's probably the best pitcher who can hit in all of baseball. Ray, what do you have to say on this game?
Well, this game compared to the other game, you only seen 5 pitchers, 3 for the, Royals and 2 for the, the Angels. So, I mean, they're not really using analytics, because for the Royals, I can see where the 3rd pitcher came in, because the first 2 pitchers gave up 4 runs and 3 runs to equal that 7 runs. So, yeah, you're going to bring another pitcher in. And then the way the Angels are going at it, 5 2/3 for the starter, you would like to see the starter go at least 6 2/3 in, and maybe all the way up to 7. And then you bring a reliever in, but they went 5 2/3 and brought another guy in. They both pitchers gave up. One pitcher gave up 2 runs, and the other one gave up 1 run. So you're seeing the difference between the 2 teams right here. And then all the hitting and stuff like that. And then you talking about Ohtani, I think he is one of the best pitcher/hitters in baseball right now. I mean, you're talking about a pitcher going into the DH. Usually your DH guy is going to be a power hitter, And Tony has done a very good job for them over the years, and still doing a good job.
Sorry, I just got a text, an awkward text. Not an awkward, a weird text. Go to Greg on this one. What are your thoughts on this Royals and Angels and Royals game going on right now?
Well, it's just, I don't think that either team's going to use as many pitchers as the Red Sox decided to use today. The Angels are now on their second pitcher. Bundy played pretty good. He didn't get roughed up too bad. He pitched 5 2/3 innings. He probably could have been left in there a little bit longer, honestly, because he was pitching some pretty good baseball, but they decided to go to their bullpen. I think the Royals, even after giving up 7, are only on their third pitcher. But you guys want to talk about Shohei Ohtani, and he is definitely probably the best hitting pitcher out there, because when he signed, that was a big thing that he wanted to also hit. He wanted to be an everyday player. So if he wasn't pitching, he wanted to hit. He wanted to either play in the field or be DH. So that's kind of one of the reasons why he signed with the Angels, because he wanted to play in the American League and at least be able to get more at bats and stuff as a DH at the very least. An interesting stat, though, is Jacob deGrom. Look at him, 4 earned runs, but he's also batted in 3 this year. So that's a crazy stat line. And, there was a time when Madison Bumgarner used to be a pinch hitter all the time for the Giants on games that he wasn't pitching. So he handled the bat really well. Was capable of hitting a bomb every now and then. So, just because somebody comes up through the system primarily as a pitcher or has a great arm, but a lot of these guys coming up now, there's another top prospect coming up in the draft that's also a two-way player. So I think that we're going to see a lot of guys that can throw the ball well, but also hit as well, and might be a two-way player. Just like in the NFL, we don't see too many two-way players like a Deion Sanders or somebody like that. But I think that those players are coming up in professional sports that are going to be able to do more than just one thing, one specialty. But as far as this game, yeah, the Angels need it. They've had a lot of lackluster performances. They got a lot of bad press after the release of Pujols, and Pujols is tearing it up now in Dodger blue. So it's good to see the Angels kind of getting back on track and putting up some decent runs and getting at least some bright spots from Trout and Ohtani in there this season. It's been kind of a weird year for them. I expected more out of them, but at least they're playing good baseball as of late.
Yeah, let me give you a score real quick. Phoenix 94, Denver 79 in the fourth quarter.
That's sad. I'm watching just like the last one. I'm looking at the highlights right now. There were not a lot of errors. I really think that for this one, the Royals are losing because of their pitching. I love how this game is there's no analytics being involved. I really think that's what's going on right now. Now, go to this next one. The Cubs are currently losing to the San Diego Padres 4-3. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, and Patrick Wisdom also all scored a run in this game for the Cubs, while the Padres had Tommy Pham, Harrison Profar, Brian O'Grady, and Victor Conti, who scored all for the Padres. Now, analytics, I can tell right off the bat that is not being used by the Cubs or the Padres, because Padres still have they're still on their first pitcher.
Well, Yeah, you can tell they only using 3 pitches so far, 2 for the Cubs
Yeah,
and 1 for Weathers.
that's true that it's only in the first in the
Fourth.
end of the fourth. So I mean, it could go down seventh, eighth, ninth, but
Well, to me, I think the Padres probably make a pitching change at the beginning whenever they come back out because Weathers is giving up 3 runs already in 4 innings, 5 hits, so they're only up by 1 run. So I could see them. Making a pitching change. It was just a reason because they're giving up 3 runs and it's a close game. So you don't know if Weathers is getting tired or how many pitches he's really pitched so far in this game. So I mean, if you look at it, the Cubs are coming in at 6-4, in the last 10 games, and you got the Padres who's coming in at lose 2 straight and coming in at 4-6 in the last 10 games. So this is a must win, a need win game for the Padres here. And if you're looking at the way that the game was going, it was 3-0 all the way up to the top of the 4th inning, and then Chicago came back with 3 runs in that top of that 4th. So this game is anybody's game right now, and the pressure is going to be on the Padres. So
the Cubs, they scored off of an error. They scored a 2-run game off of an error. Now it was actually 4-0 as Brian O'Grady scores a 2-run home run.
Right.
And then the Cubs, they score 2 on a grounder. And then they had the last highlight shows it was a sacrifice fly. So that's all I have on my side. Nuggets are losing, but sadly. Any final comments before we give this a close? Go with Gray. Yeah, go with Ray on this.
Me or Greg?
Ray.
Let Greg comment on the San Diego game and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, Greg. What are you?
Well, Ray was absolutely right that it's San Diego, a must-win game for them. I mean, they've been bombing out. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games. They definitely need to put a big W on the board. They've been losing some ground big time to the Giants. The Giants are picking up their winning ways. So, San Diego and the Dodgers, the 2 big-time favorites in that division, still behind the Giants at this point, with just over 60 games into the season. So, around 60 games into the season. So, it is a must win. San Diego definitely needs to get back to its winning ways. They have too much talent not to be atop of this division. But, it's just going to come down to this game is going to be a hard-fought game because the Cubbies, they're still playing pretty good ball. They're not at their 9-1 mark that they were last week. They're around 6-4, so over their last 10. But they're still atop their division. And Chris Bryant, he's definitely handling the bat about as good as we've ever seen him in his career. He's got an excellent slugging percentage, and he's just lights out. I think that he's definitely looking for another big contract or something when the season's over with. But as far as this game's concerned, San Diego, they just need to find something. I don't know if it's within their pitching staff. I don't know what they need to do to get back on track. Tatis and Machado are always consistent. Hosmer is always pretty good, but they just need to find something to get back on track because they've just been kind of on a big time slide for the past month or so.
So, now we'll go with Greg. Go with you first. Any final comments before you give this a close?
I wanted to comment a little bit about sportsmanship. When it comes to professional sports, I've seen a lot of poor sportsmanship lately. And I don't want to call out any single player or anything, but I think that when it's all said and done, whatever your feelings are at the end of the game or at the end of a series, I think it's always good to always shake your competitor's hand and say, good job, good luck, It was a hard fought battle, hug it out, and shake hands and kind of move on. We've seen this through the years. The Pistons didn't want to shake the Bulls' hands. We've seen it in other sports, whether it's football, maybe a couple quarterbacks don't want to shake hands or a couple coaches don't want to shake hands. I think that we need to bring back a little bit more sportsmanship into the game, regardless of your feelings about another person or another coach or another franchise, entirely. I think that we need to get back to that. Whether your team's getting blown out, or whether your team's hurt or whatever, that doesn't give you an excuse to leave the bench. Whether you're a star player or the face of the franchise or the face of the NBA or whatever sport we're talking about, I think that you need to stand tall and just take your lumps. If you lose like a man or woman, and shake your opponent's hand and move on. There's no shame in defeat, but people need to learn to handle defeat with some grace. And that's all I'm saying. I don't know if you guys are with me on this, but I think that when it comes to sports, I'd like to see a little bit more sportsmanship, because I'm getting tired of seeing people not wanting to shake hands or leaving the bench or not wanting to talk to the media or whatever the reason is. And I mean, life is bigger than this. So if you're out there competing, compete hard, but you also have to handle your losses with some dignity.
So that is all. I mean, Ray, we'll go with you next. And any final comments before we get this close?
Yeah, and we'll talk about more about this on Thursday full count. But my Braves went two out of three against the Dodgers over the weekend, so that was a big series win for the Braves there. And then, if you're looking at this Nuggets and Denver game, you're looking at it and you seeing Bridges who's leading with 23 points for the Phoenix Suns, and you would expect them to be losing if Booker wasn't the leading scorer. So I think you got to give them hands down to Phoenix. Phoenix is playing good basketball right now, and they have turned this game around. I mean, if you look at it, was nit and tuck in the first two quarters, and the third quarter, Phoenix came out with 31-21. Now it's 15-9 in the fourth. So we got 6 minutes and 47 seconds for them to hang on with the victory here in game one. So to me, I think this, if the Phoenix Suns come out and win this game one, it might put some doubt into Denver's, confidence and stuff coming into this game. So, but Denver needs at least take one game and then go back and handle their business back in Denver. So that's my hot take for the rest of the night and for the rest of that series.
All right. So for me, if you like this show, feel free to share it. We're trying to get more views up on here. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like this, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. We're trying to build up that those followers up on YouTube. We also have Twitch. We also have Twitter. We find us on Instagram. Find us on whatever social media site there is. We're probably most likely on there. And then also don't forget, I have a website called the Neats Sports Blog.godaddysites.org. Feel free to check that out. Which, by the way, that's another way to get YouTube views, because my this show will be on that website. Anything else that you wanted to advertise?
Yeah, I got one more thing. For all the Facebook people that, liked us on Facebook, why don't you just go over to YouTube and like us there too, so we can bring that, that number up to the same as Facebook. So if you can like us on Facebook, also like us on YouTube. So that will help us out in getting everything straightened out on YouTube. So, if you just go over and drop your subscribe and get us over 1,000, likes on it. We got over 2,000 likes on Facebook. Let's get the same thing on YouTube.
Greg, anything else you want to advertise?
I just want to say guys, if it's out there, if you're into sports betting and it's an option, put a little bit of money on the Canadians, not necessarily to take the next series, but at least for the series to go 5 games, because they are going to win one. Mark my words, they are going to win one. I don't know which one, but it's coming.
That's your hot take from Greg.
Game 2. I'll decide it. Game 2. Why not? All right. So this has been Nate the Great Riggers and Greg Gano signing out. See you guys next week.